From the center of the galaxy, the dark criminal underworld of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, life itself, and a deep dive into Maul, Shadow Lord. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I'm not necessarily going to wear it for the entire episode, but my Sith Lord hat from the year 1999 is here with us to celebrate what a strange and beautiful world we have found ourselves in that we're going to discuss in an animated show starring Maul.
It's we've brought it up a few times. It's still wonderfully surreal. And I saw an article of he's only the second Star Wars villain to get a show, and they counted Boba Fett in that, which I think is correct. But yeah, the legacy of 99 Maul continues to grow.
It is just a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing.
It is indeed. We're going to dive deep into episodes 1 and 2 of the show. Before we do that, we'd like to welcome you, number one, for those that might be finding us for the first time. Also, let you know this episode is brought to you by our own merch shop. That's right. We're our own sponsor. Check it out on Fourth Wall. Pick up a t-shirt, a pint glass, a coaster, something to help support ForceCenter and represent us out in the galaxy. You can head over to ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com, ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com to check out that merch. Also, there is another way to find and support and join our community as well. Yes, that is true.
Yes, you can join us on Patreon, and we are building to a goal on our Patreon. We would love to get to 400 paid subscribers by the time of the release of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Know it's a difficult time for everybody, so we're not looking for anything huge, just more people to join the community, and we're kind of making a push right now because this is when we find new friends to the Force Center community is when there are new shows and a new movie. So we're trying to make the most of this big season. So if you're interested in joining us on Patreon, you get access to our Discord with all sorts of fun community discussions and also our call-in shows that we do on Friday. So lots of fun things opened up by our Patreon.
Indeed. And yeah, on Friday, our live show, Force Center Now, becomes a Maul talkback show, so to speak, for the next few weeks. So if you have a thought on it, something you want to celebrate and call in and discuss with us, get in there to Patreon, like Joseph said. So here we go, sir. Take us away. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, very excited. We decided to call this review show Maul and the Curse of Himself because we wanted to be able to celebrate the serialized aspect of the show that was discussed a lot by the creators in preview articles, and also to examine how much of Maul's problems are Maul. There's a lot that isn't that was done to him cruelly by a broken, cruel system and a cruel, awful man called Darth Sidious. But how much of this show is a tragedy where he could make a different choice? So we'll be looking at some of that as we discuss these first 2 episodes of Maul, Shadow Lord. Episode 1 is entitled The Dark Revenge, written by Matt Maknovitz. Thanks to Molly Damon, who shared with us the correct pronunciation of Matt's name. Matt has been a heavy hitter in Star Wars animation for a long time. Great that he is the showrunner on this show. This first episode, Dark Revenge, was directed by also an all-star of Star Wars animation names that you see if you've been watching and covering Star Wars animation for a while. Stuart Lee, Saul Ruiz, and Nate Villanueva. Episode 2 is entitled Sinister Schemes, written once again by Matt Maknovitz and directed by Saul Ruiz. Ken, how does it make you feel to see these Star Wars animation names? We talk a lot about just, the truth is that movies get seen the most. Live action shows get seen the second. In animation, no matter how incredible and beautiful it is, does not get seen by as many people. So it's weird for me to see these names and go they don't do interviews. I'm sure they do panels at Star Wars Celebration, but they don't get to walk onto stage for a huge applause. Do people know what Nate Villanueva looks like? But these are some of the names that have consistently brought us what we feel is some of the greatest Star Wars in the last several years. How do you feel about all that?
You're absolutely right. Some of the best Star Wars to ever Star Wars comes from these animated shows, and these are some of the names behind it. I saw the names too, and just you feel home. You feel at home. You feel that you're with your friends hanging out doing this. And I don't know, maybe they're like, hey, look, I can still walk down to the grocery store and not get recognized. I don't have a cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. Other folks maybe we're less of an interview show than other folks, but maybe the highlight and spotlights can be put on them, because I absolutely agree. This is just a great team. And going into any Star Wars animated project, when you see these names, including people like Brad Rao or Jennifer Corbett back in the Bad Batch days, you're just like, yeah, we got it. We got an all-star team here.
Yeah, and I understand the instinct to credit Filoni, because it says created by and developed by, and he of course does deserve credit. But I think it is just important to highlight that the huge amount of team who truly do the day-to-day work to make these awesome shows. All right, so moving on to overall reaction. We got a chance to talk about this a little bit on our news show, but often these review and discussion shows can bring in some new friends, so we might be remixing a little bit. But what was your overall reaction to these very new, very different kind of episodes of Star Wars? Did you like them? Did you love them? Did you struggle? Where were you at?
I'm going to put it in the really enjoyed it category, and I think overall I love what the series is doing, meaning these are just first 2 episodes setting the pieces, and they did such a wonderful job setting the pieces. I think this was a highly anticipated show for both of us and for many in the Star Wars community, and that puts a lot of expectations on something, a lot of predictions, speculation, hopes, dreams, which are things Maul's had dashed, and we can have those dashes as well, but this lived up to the expectation. This feels like something really elevated to me. And the next evolution in Star Wars animation, it takes some of the best serious tones from the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch and builds on those, but then brings its own personality to it. Some great characters that bring a little spirit to it, a little spunk, a little humor. This isn't just lost in its own darkness, but I really thought it nailed those kind of aspects. It's already deeply philosophical and therapeutic. We had our reaction show Monday on our news show. We already got into some Star Wars therapy over it, and a series that promised a lot of tones, a lot of genre tones. Film noir and the serialized adventure serials that we love so much in Star Wars, and the horror vibes. It hit all those, and then added one that you really zeroed in on our show Monday, but to remix it for those who missed that one, the cop drama, but the 1990s were about to get gritty cop drama. Like you might see a bare butt, and I thought it just was perfection in that.
Yeah, it really, we always try to own our age, and NYPD Blue, Hill Street Blues, I was a little bit young for, and that was like, ooh, yep. we're getting gritty and real now. But then, yep. NYPD Blue in the early 90s, and it really was like network television is going to say some naughtier words than ever, and you will see a butt or two. And it had that whole like, just, all right, let's strip it all away and let's get so real. In a way that is almost comic to look back on, but the underpinnings of that, of the exhaustion of trying to hold it all together in a hard-hitting job and all that is really present here in a great way. Yeah. I really love this. I think it is so much of it flows from the way that Maul was developed and all of the additional layers that were added to him when he returned in the animated series. And I do think it's a great Star Wars show that is also film noir and horror and gangster movie and procedural cop drama from the 90s. And I think there's a lot to discuss about plot and theme. But sometimes I don't want to get so in the weeds that we forget that sometimes the point of watching a movie or a television show and the reason that we love it is how successfully do we disappear into another world? How successfully do we disappear into another mood? And I appreciate what a big swing this is to say it's still Star Wars, and there's plenty to remind you that you're disappearing into Star Wars, but you are disappearing into this very specific mood. And that is communicated through the fantastic, grimy, organic style of the artwork, the kinetic sense of movement in the action scenes, and there's a sense almost in the animation there's great speed when it wants to have speed, but there's something so organic and gritty about it that it feels almost jittery. It's not literally moving, but
Mm.
even in those like kind of calm pans of the city, it feels like there's just something, rustling under the surface, like some gross thing under your flesh is
Mm.
agitated under there. And I think that mood is one of the things that I love the most. They're just like, I'm gonna really enjoy sitting down and watching this because there are many things that it is pulling from, but there's nothing that is just like this. It's like, okay, you can say it looks like Blade Runner. We can make our NYPD Blue jokes. You can say it's like, no,
Mhm.
it's animated Maul. It's pulling from all those things, but it is creating this specific vibe that you're only really going to get by watching this thing. And I think that takes creative work, and I think that takes like bravery and commitment to say we're going to make something so weirdly specific that there isn't anything else quite exactly like it.
Yeah, especially there's, we got this character Maul when we know his resume. And I think for a lot of folks, the 99, I thought he died folks who might be pulled in by this are might be surprised to see where Maul ends up in his career, the criminal underworld. But we as the Star Wars fans have known this. And they really use all that so well. Maul he's got his robotic toes dipped into so many waters, and to have these first two episodes really lead into the crime aspect in this world. And I think you're so right. For me, Vario and Spybot are early winners in terms of breakout characters because of the personality and humor that they bring. But to me, Brander Lawson, Wagner Moore's character, is probably the biggest piece right now. That doesn't mean it's going to not build. It's an ensemble piece, I think, as you pointed out on Monday, too, despite Maul's name on the marquee. He when presented as kind of the cop chasing the bad guys, and he's maybe going to be conflicted. I think that could be written off, and maybe I personally wrote it off as just that's the type of character you'll have in this show, right? This is the that fulfilling that part of the genre stew that we're baking with. They brought such just a level, a microscopic granular level of realism with his character and his relationship to his son, and down to the sighs he brushes his hair back to go into work. That I just think that's right now the emotional core of the show. Again, that's going to change and grow as we grow with these characters, and I think Devon's going to be a big draw as well in terms of this emotional realism. But I just really thought, that was the final piece, was Brander Lawson.
I really agree. I loved everything about it. And we're going to talk about Maul a ton, and Devon's fascinating, and Master Eco might be, racing up the lane there is a favorite Jedi of a lot of folks. He's got a great vibe. But Brander Lawson does in some ways feel like the glue. I think if if somebody had told me in 1999 there's going to be a Maul animated show, and one of the most exciting scenes to you is going to be dad trying to connect with his teenage son.
Yes.
But that scene in some way feels like that's the heart of it. Because I think for me, like, with all that sort of the mood that we're into, it is the Blade Runner, it is the horror. But it's also just like, it's so dark, it's so sad. I watch this show and I'm be like, can a shadow be damp? Because this whole show feels like a damp shadow. Like it's there's this sadness of how do we continue, how do we adapt to a new world, especially when the new world sucks. Maul is dealing with that, the Jedi, Brander Lawson. But that scene with his son to me is about this sort of broken family, divorced dad energy, this very real world version of, hey, what would it be like, to be in, a noir city while the Galactic Empire puts its boot down on the galaxy and a former Sith Lord hunts you and all that. Well, the real human emotion of that is an adolescent in a broken family. And I think that's what kind of glues it together. All of these different perspectives of how do we go on in a new world? How do we adapt to a new world? It's that classic Star Wars coming of age. It's like, how do you come of age in just a horrific time is a great connective emotional thread.
Yeah, I love it. I'm sure we'll have this kind of discussion all through this series, but Brander Lawson is a character that I feel, and I'll say this now, that I feel could live in the Andor world that sometimes
Mhm.
is viewed a little differently for right reasons and maybe sometimes misguided reasons. But all I mean by that is Andor was a show about the rebellion and spies, and we kind of had a different thought of what that show might be. And initially, as we know with Stephen Schiff and everything, it was going to be a little different. But it shows up and it does something much more real, and I think that's what pulled people in. This same thing. You talk about, we keep going back to 1999, but Maul, lightsabers, the Force, the dark side. Like, oh, this is great Star Wars. This is pure Star Wars, and all that's there. But as you said, I think the best scene of the show so far was, Dad, you're home. I think that was it. I think it's the glue. So you're right.
And sorry, kid. I can't play space lacrosse with you. I need to leave. It is fantastic so much. Yeah. One other kind of big point about the mood. I was running late this morning, partially because I was taking too much time on my rewatch. And one specific thing is I decided to take a screenshot every time the subtitles literally said size. And I think I took 13 screenshots in the first 2 episodes. And that to me just said something about the vibe of sometimes we want to see something happy and uplifting. And sometimes we want to spend time in a world where characters are struggling in maybe sometimes the way we are. And I think we all have a lot to sigh about these days. I think we all have a lot of moments where we just do want to pinch the bridge of our nose and just, the characters spend a lot of time literally doing that. And I think that's a great vibe.
Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. Well, one other thing I want to shout out is the music. You know, we always take some time to highlight, hey, this looks beautiful. The animation looks beautiful. The music looks beautiful. This is the Kiner family, long associated with the Star Wars animation world. But I really wanted to celebrate the mix here. I think there's some classic Star Wars music. There's some classic animated music. So just like, hey, this is great adventure music for a chase. This is mournful, mysterious music when you don't know what's going on. This is tension music. But there's a contrast in the music that I think really highlights who Maul is. There's moments where it gets sort of operatic and Duel of the Fates and, you know, loud and important. The music of a man of fate who has a grand plan. But the very first sounds we hear are just huge, wounded, warped horn sounds, like just the sound of a soul in pain. And I think it's so important that cinema of any kind it's sound and picture, and the music is doing so much more than just this is good chase music. It is reminding us of who the characters are, what are they truly feeling inside. The introduction to this world is warped and wounded, and that's what everybody is dealing with.
Warped and wounded. There you go. Maul, Shadow Lord, warped and wounded. That's the way to look at it. That's so true. So true. Yeah.
Maul, what's your walk-on music? Yeah. He wants it to be Duel of the Fates, but it's wounded horns.
Actually, you're right, because there's this debate, obviously, of is Duel of Fates Maul's theme song or is it Anakin's theme song? And I think it's all everyone involved's theme songs. But I think you're right. I think in Maul's head, he's like bam bam, but really it's Maul.
Yeah, he's a Cora Marta. So we are going to get into our big picture themes, the meat of what we love discussing here on these review discussion episodes. And I'll be pitching to you, Ken, but I just really kind of want to start with a big picture of Maul himself and who he is, what does he want in this show and why, because I think that will be the sort of umbrella under which a lot of this show proceeds and everybody else's issues are affected by. So I wanted to talk about this big picture theme of sort of adapting to the new and choosing your identity. Who are you going to be in this new time? How much can you just sort of grab yourself by the steering wheel and say, no, I'm going to be this, or no, I'm that. I was really affected. I did a rewatch of Maul's appearances in animation and his first appearance in season 4, episode 21, Brothers, where Savage discovers him, written by Katie Lucas. We can all get distracted by hey, there's a talking snake, and he's on a trash planet, and he's missing half his body, so he made spider legs and a spider butt, and his horns are real long. And how did he come back? Oh, he survived on anger. And I really wanted to note some of the first insane ramblings that he says to Savage, when he's not even really clear that Savage is there. It's just sort of what he mutters to himself in his misery. And it's this: always remember, I am fear. Always remember, I am hunter. Always remember, I am filth. Always remember, I am nothing. And I think what is really interesting to me and powerful about that is I think it is just indoctrination of the Sith way. It is what apprentices are taught. You are number two. You are less than the master, but you should strive to be better than the master. You should always try to take me out, and I will be disappointed in you if you aren't fearful enough, hunter enough, strong enough to try to take me down. But then when you do try to take me down, I'm going to slap you down and remind you that you are filth and you are nothing. I think that is the standard Sith protocol. But for Maul, I think it has been worse because he was succeeding at being fear. He was succeeding at being hunter. He was going to reveal himself to the Jedi. He killed Qui-Gon, and then he was literally thrown away with the trash, lost his purpose, living in filth, living as nothing. And I think so much of what's going on with him throughout the animated series, but I think this show is really going to be able to dive in, is I think these two competing visions of himself are going on in his head. I am fear. I am hunter. I am just as good as my master. I am capable of grand designs, but I keep losing. People keep beating me. What if I am filth? What if I am nothing? And in this show, the way I feel like I'm seeing that is he's been beat back multiple times since he came back. He's been slapped down by Kenobi, and he's been slapped down by Sidious horribly. He's got his ass handed to him by Ahsoka. He's been betrayed by all these criminal lords. And I think he's pushing back on these feelings of filth and nothing by really Rook cast as an ally, but she's also like this mirror where he tells her who he is so he can validate his own idea of who he is. He's not a weapon. He's not filth. He's not nothing. He is a maker of grand designs who has visions of an apprentice, and an apprentice who will make a huge fateful difference in the galaxy. There's so much of him trying to make himself lofty and important, and in a way it feels like this sort of cosplaying of his awful, cruel father, Sidious. I make grand designs. I find an apprentice who is the special one, like Sidious did with Darth Vader. I'm going to find my Darth Vader, and actually she's going to be even better than Vader. I just think all of it is a really fascinating way to start of trying to deny the worst things you've ever been told about yourself, but really trying to sort of manufacture the vision of yourself that you want to be. And I think that's what poor Maul is doing.
Yeah, I think this is all present and love it and well said. I put some notes down that I think align with what your overall goal, but there were themes from the episode as well, or these episodes. I have this idea of this is about where needs and desires intersect, and the desires are kind of what you're talking about, what Maul feels he needs to become or wants to be considered, and that's about power and position, right? But his needs are community and connection, just wants to be loved, and sometimes it's hard to tell those two things apart. And I think Maul is he's selling a medicine, and I put down this like thematic question that shows up, and I think I'm seeing this was mostly through Devon's eyes, but to hear you talk, I really think it's obviously there with Maul as well, and it's the idea of how will you heal your wounds, and Maul is selling this confused, painful, sad, broken medicine that at times feels good. And there's this great moment with the Pike, the lead Pike guy before he's dropped and sliced into two like some sort of shawarma at some night market. When he tells Maul that his victory will be short lived, that's about this situation. I think that's what haunts Maul deep down inside, and I think that aligns with what you're picking up too. Where anytime someone says that, it's like you might win this, but you can't win the big game because Papa Palpatine is still out there. You cannot win it, and I think he feels that in his heart. And it's something he's trying to overcompensate for along the way.
Mm-hmm. And I love that clarity that he believes that he can slowly rebuild and that he has a list of enemies, but Sidious is at the top of it, and that he can win the whole game is very revealing. Yeah, I love that. I think that there's this desire to prove that he is a grand master. But there is a great line to himself, too, of like, everyone is a piece on my chessboard. These Mandalorians who are good at, healing combat wounds, and this great spy droid. I'm sure we'll talk about Spybot a lot. And Rook Cast is a great second in command, a great military command. And on a practical level, I need all this money. I need this territory. I need this revenge. But functionally, like, he does have a little community to grandstand in front of, He's hanging out with his Knight brothers. He's got his boys there. He's got his lady friend who knows what the vibe is there with Rook Cast. A lot of people have called out the moment where he does the Blofeld's cat and does the little scritches on Spybot's head of, very, very, very present, very explicit by the end of Rebels when he says to Ezra, you could have been my apprentice. You could have been my brother. That under all of this, he wants connection and community, and how much is that desire for the connection and community? How much of that is fueling the grandiose talk about who Devon is? There's a line he's got when he's talking about Cass about doing the prison break, and he says, "Vario's betrayal demands consequence, and something else. Our actions serve a greater purpose." And it's not enough to just. He wants to do petty revenge, and on a practical level, I think, kind of just for money and power and position, he needs it. But it's so grandiose that it's a greater purpose to break this Twi'lek Padawan out of prison.
He's very melodramatic, and we've played it perfect as always. But yeah, you're kind of describing Maul as one of those manosphere podcasters at the center of his own show, surrounded by a bunch of bootlicking comics trying to get power prestige through him, and he's just like, "We're nothing, but we're everything. I've got a handle on it."
That's so great. It's so great. Yeah, it is like kind of one of those podcasts where there's like three co-hosts and the lead person really doesn't let him get a word in edgewise. Like, yeah. It's so funny. Yeah.
Welcome to the Maul Show.
Yeah. So along this big picture idea of kind of choosing your identity, I feel like that's what's going on with Maul, and I feel like the central relationship is being developed with Devon, and there's a lot going on with Devon being offered to choose her new identity. I love the subtle approach to manipulating Devon. Maul moved real fast with Savage Press and was just like, and Savage Press has this like, we could be equals. He's like, no. Beats up his own brother and says, "You're the apprentice," and that's it. And I love this very subtle. I think it's a choice in the writing. I think it's a choice in the performance, that the intensity of Maul is there, the pain. But it's literally just a little quieter and a little bit more reserved and building to that ranting. And it feels like he's holding himself back and taking this much slower, softer approach to, not dominating Devon immediately through force and power, but just really subtly breaking down her defenses. And I think seeing that crack, that she doesn't know who she is going to be in this new time. And I liked in particular with Devon questioning her identity, there's this thread of her being unwilling to state her identity, which is practical. She's a Jedi in hiding. She probably doesn't have a fake name yet and in fake credentials. So like with Brander in the Robot Cops, she can't give her name. She has this exchange with Maul. Maul says, "Who are you?" in this great, like, not just your name, but your soul. How did you come to be here? Who are you? What's your ethos in life? And she's got the great snarky response of a prisoner. And Maul says, if that is what you believe. So Maul's really underlining that theme there of we all choose our identities. And if you think of yourself as a prisoner, you are a prisoner. If you think of yourself as a Jedi who can only do things this way, that's what you're going to be. And it's all great with the seduction of Devon, but I also just thought it was really affected by it of, yes, the practical reasons she can't just say who she is. She's protecting her identity. Right. But it made me think of this idea of what happens to your sense of identity if you can't say who you are out loud. Earlier, Maul says, hey, I prefer to be a shadow for now. And this guy who wants to be seen, he's got a great plan, but he's making himself a shadow. Devon can't say her own name out loud. How do you feel about that idea of like how much can you feel like you can own your identity if it is only internal and you don't feel even remotely safe to express it externally?
Yeah, you're speaking some very real things out there of people with their own identities that can't be shared and enjoyed by the world. And there's also some stuff related to this episode. I think you're absolutely right. You get these two characters, Devon and Maul, which we know they're going to have, something to do with each other. And there's always the wild speculation on what that might end up being. But I think what's important is right now is exactly what you're saying. This is Maul, Shadow Lord. But still, at the end of the day, you're ruling the shadows, man. You can't even come out yet and enjoy the sun that you want to burn. And I think that's why they both. This is why the intersection between these two characters will make a lot of sense for folks, but also be so challenging for folks. And I mean that in a good way. This is a deeply philosophical, therapeutic show. This is asking a lot of tough questions. I think you're right, and that's where we find her, and there's the symbolic kind of removal of her robe when she's arrested, right? She kind of turns that in a way, even though, again, it's practical. It's all practical plot stuff. But we see her kind of shedding any image of what she might want to be or could be at the beginning of that. So that's why I think she's, you talk about this slow seduction, Maul being quiet. Which on Monday we ran through a list of pop songs and rock songs that Maul was. I think we also need to add Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac, the live version from the dance, nice and calm, and then by the end Stevie Nicks is screaming at Lindsey Buckingham. I think that's Maul's game plan here. But yeah, no, I'm affected by that. Affected by these two people continuing to search. One's just farther along on the path if you listen to him.
Yeah, I loved some of his lines to her of you have been indoctrinated since you were a child. Now you must adapt, which is also like Maul speaking to himself. And, I think he has some pride in like, I'm adapting. I was indoctrinated as a child too, but I'm adapting, but he's only breaking his indoctrination up to a point. What does it mean for you to be a Jedi guardian of peace and justice in a time of lawlessness? I think great stuff here because they are important questions that it might be valuable for Devon to be asking herself, but we know that Maul's answer is not a good answer to any of these questions.
Yeah, no, that's again when I've said this is where needs and desires intersect. We that was mostly about Devon up top of she's hungry. Iko Diodaki's hungry. And it's right there, and she could have gotten away with it if not for those darn robots. Like that's a real desire, right? And you have this, Iko Diodaki. I'm going to say it. I'm going to learn to say it like a song. Has this great faith in community that isn't always rewarded, right? And that is dare we say the high road, right? He's hey, spare some change. Nope. Okay, I'll go hungry until I can find someone that can help. And that sucks. And she's tired of that. She's tired of being trapped in that. Tired of being trapped by these guiding principles that she believes in, as she states later on. But maybe they're eroding underneath her with the realities. I always say that well, I don't always say like I'm some great philosopher, but I think I found in my life, like some of the things I believed and who I was, like were challenged and maybe occasionally strengthened, but definitely challenged when realities of the world found me in a way that they didn't when I was more insulated and safe and protected in the system that I was raised in. So I think that's where we find Devon, and you talk about what Maul is selling. That's why I put the question of how How will you heal your wounds? She's got some wounds. She's also, as you said, a prisoner, and viewing she's a prisoner. And at the end, we'll jump to some that we'll go in more detail. But we have at the end of the second episode, she essentially frees herself, right? And I think you could really use that as a podcast ready lesson of using your own power, using who you were born to be. Those are things that are great. That is Aragorn grabbing a sword that makes him king, right? That is, you've got the power. It's He-Man. It's all the stuff. It's very mythical. It's a great lesson. ... Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what Maul tells you. And I'm fascinated about where they can take that.
Yeah, I think we've seen different kinds of seduction to the dark side. We've seen, the great opera scene, the Squid Lake seduction of Palpatine for Anakin. Really starting with the everybody's really out for themselves and out for power. So it let's not play this good and evil game. Jedi and the Sith are the same. That's one route to it. I think Maul is taking this very cruel therapeutic self-help of I am going to help you reconnect with yourself. I'm going to empower you. I'm going to help you feel powerful. And then I'm going to ask you to do this thing that's reasonable. And then I'm going to ask you to do this thing that's kind of bad. And then I'm going to ask you to do these horrible, horrible things. And will he be able to connect the empowerment he gives her here to start killing for me, be my weapon? And that's, I think, the arc of the show. Yeah.
There's that great moment with labeled as Devon and her principles, and those are things I think she does believe it. But I love Maul's reaction of paraphrasing, but just too bad that's just you though, right? Too bad you're the only one. If the Jedi had your principles, we might be in a different spot. And actually just I'd left a little section blank, and you helped me kind of focus in on it. I did put down the question of what is good versus evil. Maul directly saying, hey, I know you've been watching Star Wars and you think it's about good versus evil, but it ain't about that. And I put this thing of evil is, and I left it blank. And I think to me, in this, at least these two episodes, I land on evil is saying there is no dividing line. I think that's what evil is. I think saying, whether you want to just sum it up as both sides, all that stuff, but evil is saying, no, there is no lines to cross. We're all the same, and they've got it wrong. And your principles are great. Too bad it's just they don't work. I think that's where I land on Maul in this episode.
Yeah, and I think Maul wants to believe that, but I think he is caught up in his indoctrination that at the end of the day, everything is dominance. So when I want something from you, I can make you feel seen and make you feel special and make you feel empowered. But at the end of the day, you have to be a tool to me, because if you're equal to me, then I'm not dominant. And then I'm back to, I am nothing, I am filth. And I need to be, I am hunter, I am fear. And his trap. In terms of the arc of Devon in searching for identity, I really love that the beat at the end when she escapes, because I think it is a great and nuanced way to show, not tell as much. I think it's great that he empowers her, because Master Iko Diodaki is not empowering her. He's saying, stay hidden, don't do anything to alleviate your problems. You don't take the fruit. The power of him saying, well, you can leave anytime you want. And the delivery might be one of the best lines in it. And so do it, Jedi, leave. But just that he put her in a rat cage with a way out, but the way out isn't the front door like the Jedi taught you. It's the back door, which resonated with me in that, that's the way Kenobi often succeeds. That's a little bit of the dichotomy between Anakin and Obi-Wan, of Anakin's we need to take that castle. So I'm more powerful than everyone, so I'll run at it from the front. And Obi-Wan's let's dress up as a cook and go in the back,
Right.
And be mindful, look around you, be clever. And I think it is Maul teaching her this, what I think in real life is a valuable lesson of look around you. There's more than one way to solve this problem. Maybe you're not as trapped as you feel you are. But to know that it's so sinister that this is just the first step onto in a manipulation of, empowering you so that you will eventually feel empowered to make choices that are horrific to other people. This is an empowering choice that doesn't hurt anybody. Free yourself. And it's like, free yourself of that Jedi notion that you can't kill folks.
Yeah.
It's empowering. Remember when you escaped prison? Escape that morality prison they've got you in and take what you want and kill who you need to. It's a great ...
Yeah, and I think I think you're correct to tie it to the beginning where we meet Devon and her master, who's like, no, I know I'm starving. Don't steal the food from that person. That's not good. Emotional handcuffs, if you will, that if you have a certain point of view on it. And here is Maul. Look at me. I have freed you because you freed yourself.
So under this kind of bigger picture of choosing your identity, I wanted to get your thoughts on the scene with Brander and his son Riley. There's not a ton going on in the scene. It's pretty much an after school special about so your dad's not around enough. Where he comes home and looks like maybe Riley wants to spend time together. But I was really affected by how much Riley is sort of coded as coming out of adolescence into adulthood. And there's the image of the happy little family where he's wearing the little, whatever the sport is, space lacrosse helmet. We've got the little space lacrosse ball on Brander's desk, and there's tension when Devon touches it. Riley's happy his dad comes home and picks up the stick from that sport. So a lot of it is coded with this, like, when I was a child, we bonded, the whole family bonded because dad would go out into the backyard and throw ball with me. But that can't be anymore. And is that because of the situation on Janix? Is that because of the divorce? Is that because of just the normal, that's the sport I played when I was an adolescent, but I'm growing up now and I need to leave adolescence behind. There's just a little hints of like this story that might come of lost adolescence that I felt like really married to Devon's story of Devon's encountering this new paternal, father figure in Maul, who is trying to guide her out of her awkward Padawan adolescence in a dark time. And then we have this super grounded, my dad's too busy to talk space lacrosse with me. What did you get out of that scene and where we might go with Riley in that thread?
You talking about space cats in the cradle?
Yeah.
Harry Chapin should appear in Star Wars now. Yeah, I love that scene. Like I said, it might have been my favorite of it because it's grounded in realism, but also I think playing with these big mythic themes and questions. And you're talking about 2 episodes here that are about who you are, what's your identity. I really saw Brander Lawson knowing what he wants to be, which is maybe what he was at one point, father, mentor. I think Star Wars obviously deals a lot with fathers. I see this more as mentors, guides, which is also something Star Wars deals with. And what do you do to the youth behind you? Even though I don't know if his son's going to be a main character at this point, I see he and Devon in the same kind of ballpark, right? Devon is called young a few times, kid, and I think that kind of speaks to who you become. It's so funny. It's the Rogue One trailer was going on, the one with all the footage that never appeared in the movie. It's been 10 years, and that ends with Guerrera. Who will you become? What will you become? What will you do when they capture you? All those things. I just kind of, these are big Star Wars identity questions down to kid misses dad, and I really got pulled in by Brander Lawson. Again, needs and desires. Like I think I have a desire to be a better father, but my need is to also take care of him and take care of myself and try to recover from whatever happened. I think it'd be fascinating. It is fascinating that we've got, and this has come up before, absolutely. But and I think a little bit with Kylo and Han and Leia. But this is the first time, in my knowledge, that Star Wars has directly dealt with like divorce. and I've never seen it played this real in Star Wars before. Again, it may have popped up in other spots. So I think it's all about search for identity, and it's affecting because it's sad, but there's still love there. But it can break. It's frail. It's thin.
Yeah. And what one hopes for some bright spots in the galaxy and some moments of hope, but it feels like he's going to disappoint this kid, and he connects to Brander Lawson's also sort of this paternal figure that's trying to sort of protect all of Janix, right? Because he knows if the Empire comes here, it is going to be horrible for all of us, and I'm trying to protect the whole city for that. So you really feel for this guy of like, I want to be there for my kid on a one-to-one level, but it's not going to be great for my kid if the Empire comes here, and I got to capture a guy with a laser sword in order to play dad to the whole city to protect them.
Yeah, I like you bringing in this repeating kind of beat of don't call the Empire in, and I think we saw what happens in Andor season 1 in particular. We see that during this time in the galaxy. I think we saw a lot in Bad Batch, but yeah, I think that's it. I like connected that to him as the dad of Janix, not father, dad.
The dad.
I'm the dad of Janix.
The buddy. And the dialogue's really well written and really well played. Like,
it is.
I like when he calls his kid man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. 2 boots is 2 boots. It's very just grounded. I think he's fantastic.
Yep.
Another kind of big picture idea that I'd love to talk about and get your thoughts on, because you already started down with this road with some of the Jedi stuff. I was really taken with there's the individuals searching for themselves, but there's also all of the different individuals almost as representation of the various groups and organizations wrestling with what rules do we follow and how strictly do we follow them. The thing that we all get out of society of we're in these structures that sometimes govern us and give us guidance. It lets us know how to speak to each other. It lets us know how to resolve problems because we follow certain rules in society. We can drive down the street without murdering each other because there's a yellow line that we painted there. And that's the only thing that's stopping us from, throwing huge metal missiles into one another because of that yellow line. And I feel like there's a lot in this of the different characters are going like, hey, is the yellow line still painted on the road or not? It manifests in lots of different ways, but I think one of the really strong ways is starting with 2 boots and the droids. Classic Star Wars theme of sort of the free-flowing and the organic versus the rigid and the mechanical. But it's interesting to see this city that is kind of automated by definitely humans in charge, but a lot of robot cops processing things. And we get that right away when Devon is arrested for stealing fruit. And Master Daki has this instinct of like, she's starving and she took 3. She'll apologize. We'll get them. Like, we can talk this out, right? And they're like, nope, it's just by the book. It's totally black and white. You stole, you get arrested. That's it. There's no human flowing organic discussion. And then right when we meet 2 boots, he has this great quote of Brander Lawson comes in and has the great sign, the hair wipe. And 2 boots says, it's tragic, Captain Lawson, about the destroyed droids. They were simply doing what they were programmed for. And then the constant pushback from 2 boots of just call the Empire. It's protocol. We know what to do. The line is painted on the road. Just follow it. And in Brander, we see this contrast where like, I don't think we see anything sort of gray in him of like, in these episodes of like, I'll take a bribe or whatever. We see to me like this vision of there's this spirit of the law and the letter of the law. And 2 boots is going to follow the letter of the law. And Brander Lawson is just trying to be like, but what are we really trying to accomplish here? Like, we got actual criminals. We got actual crime. And who's this young, hungry girl? Can we talk this out and just set her back on her path? He's trying to help Devon in his flowing organic way. He's trying to hide Maul from the Empire because that's not the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law would be better for them to handle it locally. So just in the law enforcement, we have this. How much do we follow the rules rigidly and how much we bend them? And then I think it is also, there's a lot going on with the crime lords and with the Sith and the Jedi of it all. But I wanted to start there with the presentation of law enforcement and how you felt about that. You got a law enforcement history in this debate of spirit of the law, letter of the law, and what makes a better society.
Yeah, I think it's all about what are we here for, right? What is our actual mandate when we wake up and go to this line of work, and who we protected, and what's it about, and you got a system. Janix doesn't seem like the safest of cities. I don't just mean that in terms of crime stats. I just mean in just what's going on there. It is a hotbed of criminal activity, but we also haven't seen the nice parks up above. So I'm not going to judge Janix right now. But yeah, I think it's identity. I think it's a search for identity for what's our true purpose in this timeline. And I think that's going on with the criminal syndicates in a way, and it's about power. But Maul is establishing what they can do, and I think Iko Diodaki is also wrestling with who are we, who am I as a Jedi in this timeline. So I look at them, and that's why that's why I really like what they've got going on with Brandon Lawson. I think he's like you said, the glue, because he is an ultimate example of being a part of something that maybe set out or at one point adopted ideals that make sense because they seem good. But when the dividing line was erased, or you gave way to a system that that destroys, oppresses, and hurts, where are you in that? Especially with this world, especially what's going on outside the windows of this planet, and it's wrestling with him. I think I see this as it's a good guy. I think it's absolutely intriguing and interesting that his informant, Rena Soul, voiced by Pamela Adlon, is also a romantic interest, but a complicated one. I think that's very real and grounded, but also speaks to who he is and how he sees people. And is it transactional? Is it real? Does he feel it's transactional? Who is he in this situation? What are his desires? What are his needs? That's what's a play.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get more of that. And I thought that was, I think that's a great extension of him being more organic and flowing, because we've got that great NYPD Blue cop scene where the higher up is like, the governor's going to take charge if you don't do it. Right. And like you joked, it's got a real fix this, or I need your badge and gun, McGonagall energy, right?
Yes,
it does. And that's one of the times that Two Boots is like, so call the Empire, right? Follow the rules, right?
Follow the rules.
And he says, I've got another play. And it's classic noir stuff. Let's go to the people who are outside the lines. Let's go to the people who have maybe a toe in the underworld, or a lot more than that, and ask them what's really going on. So it's something we've talked a lot about with the Dexter's Diner scene of, this is the classic noir, particularly in my opinion, LA noir of Philip Marlowe is the Raymond Chandler novels, is always hunting crimes that are being covered up by the powerful, by the city, and by gangsters. And he does that by going and talking to, it's like some bar bouncer who saw something that he shouldn't, or some young woman who was manipulated, or some drunk socialite, or like the people that are a little bit outside of the system where the truth lies. And I thought that was really great with the Rena Soul of, like, it's not in any of our databanks that our robots are going to look into, but Rena's got the dirt. Yeah, she knows exactly who Maul is,
Yep. Which means we're going to end up on Coruscant for that Dexter Diner scene we were talking about on Monday. But it's the same principle, yeah. And obviously connects, because Attack of the Clones being the war.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is great. So then I thought, and you already spoke to this, but I want to take a little bit of a closer look at it. Of, we've got this contrast in the law enforcement of how rigidly they follow the rules, and it's really interesting to see where Master Daki falls in that. Of, I think I generally tend to agree with Jedi principles in terms of, like, what is the spirit of them? What are they trying to do? And that they got to navigate the rigidity of them, and keep in mind what is the bigger purpose. And sometimes they have to be more organic and flowing. And Master Daki seems to have adapted to these horrible new circumstances in terms of, like, I think in other times he'd be loud and proud and going around being a Jedi and helping people, because it's the first scene with them is, hey, there's some trouble going on, and Master Daki saying, we can't do anything about that. Like,
yeah,
maybe back in the day he would have. But with that exception of, we can't reveal ourselves too much, he's really rigidly sticking to Jedi principles, right? We can't even steal one fruit. I'm going to believe in people. I'm going to believe in community. The great, would you kindly eat Chuta?
Yeah.
and I even feel like one of his other big scenes is still kind of like sticking to the Jedi way, the Jedi code. He takes a risk. He intervenes to save his Padawan.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a great eye contact between him and Maul, between him and Devon. Of if their innocent's in danger, I'm going to save them first, because that's just that's always the number one choice. So how did you find yourself? I know you like him as a character, but did you find yourself agreeing with Master Daki's adherence to the rules, to his society, to his principles, or did you find yourself going like, "Hey, Master Daki, it's a new world. Why aren't you bending?"
I definitely could be. I'm in danger of being pushed by Maul into those kind of choices. I like I think it's the power to adapt. But no, I think I'm trying to take this question and push it outside of the bounds of Star Wars, because I'm like you. I'm always going to root for the Jedi and finding their right way forward. Because I think he's right through this episode. He does. He's got the old. It's the old tried and true Jedi test. If you're fighting a Jedi, endanger someone else, and they're going to have to deal with that, because that's their weakness, right? So you're going to win. I agree with him, because I think I know I have to, and I think I know it's the right way. This is a morality tale, and it's showing you a shining example right here that is covered in dirt and grime, and it's murky because of the world that it's in. There's no harm, and no harm in stealing that fruit. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to turn around and bump into a cop robot. Like, you're going to get away with it. Yeah. So if there's like a struggle in my voice, it's because he's right. We know he's right. He's coded to be right in the Star Wars story. But you look around and it's like, you fight dirty and you might win, man.
Yeah, I think just like Andor did such a great job with manipulating the audience in a good way about when we empathize with Dedra. They, early on in season 1, they put her in a situation where we kind of started to empathize with her, and then ripped the Band-Aid off and had her do just horrible fascist stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I love that kind of storytelling, because I think it causes us to ask questions instead of just passively sort of empathize with the main character. And I feel like what this show is doing is it is sort of trying to seduce us the way Maul is trying to seduce Devon.
Yep.
And make it about a choice between good or evil, follow the rules, or bend them and do what you need to do, man. And I think it's almost offering us this sort of absolute of, do you follow the rules rigidly because they're your principles and that is correct, and you do not bow on your principles? Or do you, come on, break a few rules, man? And I feel like what the truth is, and maybe it's Brander who's meant to be the truth, is every single situation, ask yourself, what is the best for the people you're trying to help and protect? It's not follow the rules or break the rules. It's what is the best for the largest number of people in this situation. And I get this sense that Master Daki is like admirable iron soul who is going to drive Devon away, because sometimes he's going to cling to the principles to cling to them rather than bend them for the greater good in that moment. Not in an immoral way, but in a way that makes Devon feel like, oh, the rules are a prison, which is what Maul wants her to believe.
Yeah, again, intersection of needs and desires. Your desires to defeat evil, to maybe destroy or stop this literal image of evil that's in front of you, and your need is to protect those who might be hurt from him. And he has snapped a bridge in two that would hurt the people that you were there to protect. So you're in this spot, right? And it's the question I think George wanted us to all ask about the Jedi Order itself as an institution. Are you aligned with your actual principles? Are you hurting? Are you indirectly or maybe occasionally intentionally hurting others by clinging to the system over the spirit, like you've brought up again? I think this comes up time and time again in life, and you're right. It is. It's almost an easy sell from Maul from the get-go, because it's not, she's hungry, but that's not the starting point. The starting point is, you're hungry, my master. You're hungry. I can help you. I'll take care of myself, whatever. Yeah, but I'll get some for me too. But you're hungry. That's her driving force, or starting point. And he's like, no. Handcuff from a certain point of view.
Yeah, and it starts this great moral quandary. Yeah, and then I think on like there's sort of there's the cops, there's the Jedi equation of it with Master Daki and Devon, and then there's the Maul and the crime lord of it all. And I thought it was really fascinating. So much of the conversation with Maul and the conflict between the crime lords, Vario and Demas, all of it was about broken alliances. So it was, hey, we're criminals. We're totally on the same page that we are out for ourselves. But maybe we could have these fragile alliances so that we all profit together from being in these fragile alliances and don't fall into these destructive patterns of dominance. Those rules are about self-preservation. They're not about honor or what's best for the people. And they're so fragile. There's so many times that people was like, I had a truce. You broke my trust. You broke our alliance. You betrayed me. Maul and Demas and Vario and the Pikes are spewing all of these words about structure, organization, society, and how it's been violated. Down to, I love the scene where they are successfully set against one another, and Demas shoots the robot body of Vario, and then he says, hey, turns, shoots him in the front, and then says, never shoot a guy in the back. And that to me was like the perfect line for this sort of like, crime lords, we kind of want society, but it's ultimately about dominance. At the end of the day, it's dominance. Like, well, that's kind of rude to shoot a guy in the back, but also I tricked you in the exact same sort of underhanded way and brutally murdered you. But it was dishonorable for you to try to shoot me in the back, even though I tricked you into a dishonorable, unceremonious death.
Fascinating stuff there. Vario's a great character, and you're almost oddly rooting for him in that moment in a weird way. But you're right. It's just a mishmash of immorality.
Yeah,
it's just immorality stew.
Yeah. So I thought that was really well layered between all the real practical plot points about what is Janix like, what are the allegiances, what does Maul really want, what does he need, who is he getting vengeance on, and why. But all of it to me was really layered and really connected between these ideas of, what is society, what is connection, what are the rules we agree to follow, and why do we agree to follow them? And for the crime lords, it's mostly just self-preservation and honor is, just lip service. For the Jedi, it's almost honor in principle is almost too rigid sometimes to fulfill their stated goals. And then I think Brander exists as this sort of like, I'm the guy who is looking at what am I really trying to do, and what is the way to accomplish that with the most, that's going to help the most people with the most empathy. The helping Devon isn't just paperwork. It's, come on, we got murderers.
Yeah.
Why do we got this kid? Let's help the kid who is stealing the fruit.
Yeah.
It feels a little like Brander might be our sort of like, maybe he's going to cross the line. Maybe he's going to, just partner with Maul a little bit for the greater good. But it feels like he's starting out as the guy who has his head screwed on straight about how to adapt to this new awful world the Empire has created.
Yeah, and I love Ego Daki kind of stalking him to find out who are you?
What kind of guy are you?
Trust
him?
Yeah.
I that's the way I took it. Of Diodaki definitely being like, okay, well he's a cop in the entertainment district having this meeting. What's he up to? And can I trust him? Pretty cool. What other big picture ideas or themes did you have on your list of ideas to discuss?
I think all the way in there. I think we got there. Really wanted to bring up as we did, but what is the good versus evil thing? And I thought that was kind of fun in its meta-ness of Star Wars, at a series that is about that, to have a character truly not only question that, but just state that as it's fact. Like, those things don't matter. Stop looking at that. Oh, you think I'm the villain? We're not playing that. I'm not playing that part. I'm functional. I'm shades of gray. I'm real. I'm right. And just but everything he's selling is a lie. And if it's not pure evil, it's definitely opening the door for it. And I thought that was just one big fun part of the show for me to hear Maul say, like, I'm the villain. I'm leading a TV show. They don't give villains TV shows. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I think he has this, like, I think he truly does want to bring down the Sith, and I think he's going to spin great tales of how awful they are. But like Ahsoka says to him in that final season of Clone Wars, like, yes, you want to bring down the Sith, and you want to take their place. Like, if I helped you take down Sidious, you'd just be, thanks, my throne now. It wouldn't be any better. And I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he's lying to himself about that. I think he knows he wants dominance.
Yeah.
But I think maybe he sometimes kind of half believes it when he gets in his groove, when he gets into full on preacher mode to seduce Devon, he wants to be, he won't admit to himself that he wants connection, but he wants connection. He wants to prove he's a grand master with grand plans. It is really awful what the Sith are doing. It is really the dominance for dominance sake. It is awful, but that's what I need to prove to myself.
Yeah,
that I'm valid. So it'll be interesting to see as he pitches to Devon if he can be honest with himself of like, the end goal of this is for me to just be Sidious.
Yeah, so I was rewatching the last 3 episodes of Clone Wars season 7, last episodes of Clone Wars, and you just touched on it, but that moment where Ahsoka frees him, and he's like, kind of like, yeah, we're on the same team, kind of weird, you and I, huh? She's like, no, we're not. I'm not here to team up with you. I'm here because you're chaos, you're distraction. Go do your thing. I'm not with you. And how on some level it's a little heartbreaking for old Maul, where he's like, I got a friend. I didn't expect this. Oh, we're not friends. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is just so great. He comes back from his years of being a little spider goblin man in trash, and he wants Savage. He wants to partner with Ahsoka. Now he's going to have a long run at Devon. The little bit of storytelling we get in the comics is he takes a run at making Kira somebody close to him who he confides in. Eventually takes the run at Ezra. It is a great tragedy of like, this man just needs a friend, and the galaxy would benefit.
Yep. That's all it is.
Yep. Yeah, that's my only other little thing is like I think there's this great undercurrent with Rook Cass too of she's serving a real practical purpose of literally the person for Maul to bounce things off of. But she keeps trying to almost like, so we're gonna do it the direct way, right? Do you want to put a team together? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And he keeps being like, no, I have a grander design. So there's also this little friction of, she's a Mandalorian. She's a warrior. We don't quite understand beyond what we know of Death Watch why she's so loyal to Maul. And I hope that we get to spend some time with her, and I hope that gets challenged. But there's a nice little tension of like, how comfortable are these Mandalorians running around in the shadows at this point and just fulfilling petty revenge schemes,
Yeah, they got their own identity to wrestle with at this point, right? And we see it in so many other parts of the Star Wars story, the Mandalorian and whatnot. But Rook Cass is an interesting character. Glad they brought her back. It's not a character I've spent a ton of time thinking about. I've read the comics and I know where she showed up. But Vanessa Marshall bringing a great life to this character. So yeah, interested to see where she goes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, well, let's move on then to, we always like to kind of check in on any canon stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's bigger. I want to touch base on the revelation that in this moment, Maul is still telling himself he can destroy Sidious, because I thought it might have been a possibility of like, okay, well, I can't take him down, but I can find my own place in this galaxy. And I love the confirmation that he still wants to bring the whole thing down. And for me, it makes a lot of sense. I was glad to have revisited everything with Maul's storytelling to remember, like, in the last few years, I don't know the exact timeline, but, Clone Wars are getting toward their end by the time Maul comes back. And I think this is supposed to be a little while after Order 66, like a year or so. So it's valuable to me to remember, in the last couple of years, Sidious killed Maul's brother, Savage Opress, imprisoned Maul and tortured him, allowed Maul to escape prison to use Maul as bait so Sidious could kill his mom, Mother Talzin. He has tortured him, killed his brother, killed his mom, and reasserted, hey, you have no value. You failed. Forget the I am Hunter, I am fear. You are nothing. You are filth. So it feels like it makes emotional sense for Maul to be like, yeah, I'm not letting that one go yet.
Yeah. There was I have this idea down too of Maul's emotional entitlement, which is a little more emotional canon than anything, because he has the kind of the idea behind him a lot is they've taken what is mine, which is also very real, and we talked about and have talked in the past of why wasn't I picked up by the Jedi? I was force sensitive too, and this is the horrible life I've led, and now I'm going to take it out on you. And it's a dangerous thing to see what could be yours, but call it, you look at it as mine. And I think that's kind of an emotional canon connection of what's going on. And I'm with you too, of where it is in the timeline, exactly down to the week or month. I don't really care, but to have this, again, and watching Clone Wars season 7 just reminded me, I hadn't seen it in a while, of just him just kind of being like, oh, is it time? Yes. Oh, I never knew the plan. I knew the plan was happening. It is fascinating. To now, here we are, like, plans in place. Empire is risen. I know who did it. I know who's behind it. And he took everything that's mine. He took everything. I'm going to get it back. It's interesting. Big theme with this timeline.
Yeah, I love how revenge in this show is both like real practical of like, hey, this person took the money and the resources, but it's also like, but all this is about dominance, and you took my soul by taking my practical resources, and I'm going to take it back. And, we hear that in the way Vario and Demas talk to each other and all that too. So yeah, do you have sort of, I mean, obviously the show has been renewed for season 2. We don't know how long it's going to run. Are you wanting this show to get to that point where Maul, we kind of assume, is in the Crimson Dawn era, where Sidious has to be aware that he's running these syndicates and allowing him to do it, so he's not shooting at the top guy anymore, or maybe he still is in the long run? Or where do you go with that, with kind of like where Maul ends up? How is Sidious allowing the situation that we see in Solo, where Sidious has to be aware that Maul is running all the syndicates?
Yeah, I wonder if there is ever going to be a moment of false peace between father and son, so to speak, here with these two, where we know, the idea of the Empire kind of needs the criminal underworld thriving and flourishing, and that's kind of been touched upon in a lot of spots in Solo, like you said. I think very clear about that. But if they ever have, instead of another confrontation where Maul is whooped and put over his knee and spanked and said, go do what I need you to do. If there's a false victory for Maul, one more big moment of connection. I finally filled the hole of my soul, and no, it's not. I've just been used. I don't know how to see that other than a Maul tea party with Palpatine, but that would be if we all kind of talked about the Vader of it all, and I think Vader has a place in this series if it goes on. I think it would make sense that Vader would show up. But if we were ever to see Palpatine, which, again, if there's a chance to get McDiarmid back in, but it also could be Witwer having a conversation with Witwer, Maul and Palpatine, like a good Simpsons scene. I would not want it to be, or necessarily need it to be, a big giant fight again. That I would like it to be quiet and different tone than the previous confrontations.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that. I don't know that Maul would ever fully give up the fantasy of getting revenge on Sidious, but he might say, I'm going to bide my time again. It's part of the Crimson Dawn comic books that Maul told Kira everything about the Sith and taught her to fight against them. So we've got a little bit in canon where Maul was like, well, if I'm not going to take him down, I'm still going to train other people. So maybe Maul did, before he got dumped on Malachor, think he was going to get another shot. But I do feel like there's got to be some moment where Sidious, maybe over tea, gives Maul a Sith participation trophy of saying, you are not Sith.
Yes.
But I need these crime syndicates run. you will run them. If you put one metal toe out of line, I'm gonna come and have Vader kick your ass again. And so Maul has to sort of accept his place on the ladder for now. Is what I imagine.
Yeah, I could see that, and I know there's the, thoughts of what George's episode 7 might have been with Maul and Darth Talon. That stuff is by the way old, prior to Clone Wars episode 7 take from George. I think that's forgotten sometimes in the little Screen Rant articles that pop up. Here's what George envisioned. That became most of Clone Wars, and that became Maul coming back. And Filoni has said that kind of stuff might pop up here, which is why speculation is running rampant on Devon and everything there. But I think if that's the case, Maul gains some power. He gains some prestige. And maybe once again, he's like, I've done it. I've healed myself. I've got what I need. I'm pushing this rock up really good, aren't I? It's going to go well. Going to go bad.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about kind of the character of Rook Cast, and I'm really hoping for more development. And she's in the Son of Dathomir comic. She pops up in season 7 of Clone Wars, but she's just sort of there as like, we know that some of the Death Watch became loyal. Like when he cut Pre Vizsla's head off, Bo-Katan and her section of the Death Watch was like, nope, it's got to be Mandalorian. We're out. We're going to question this whole thing. And then there's super loyal people like, nope, Dominance wins. And he cut off Pre Vizsla's head. He's our guy. And you got Mandalorians running around with horns. And she's a sort of a name and a face of that group. But she hasn't had a ton of development as a character. So I'm hoping for some development of a character and see it for her. Is this just, I believe in the Death Watch ways and Dominance wins. And so for the long haul, he's my guy. Or is there something deeper, more personal, a different philosophy, a different vision for Mandalore that she thinks he's going to ultimately provide? And I think one of the big kind of canon questions floating around that is there's been fan theories of, hey, is she the armorer? The armorer has some horns on her helmet. Clearly, there's a connection to her group of Mandalorians to Death Watch and Death Watch philosophies. So where do you go with all that, with what you want out of Rook Cast and any sort of like armor speculation?
Yeah, I don't go that direction. Maybe just simply in the fact that then to me cast Emily Swallow, but then maybe that would have been too obvious, right? So maybe there's some chicanery afoot. I agree. Number one, agree with you. I'd love to hear more from this character. I think she's intriguing. Right now, she is a little bit of, like you said, a sounding board. Not quite Rick Ollier exposition, but a little bit of that energy. So I would love to see more. And then in hearing you describe what is there, what could be, I'd take a shot at Maul. I think take a shot at he ain't leading us the right way. He is wrapped up in his own power, and I do believe in dominance still. So maybe it's me. I could run this. I do all the numbers. All the Excel spreadsheets are put together by me. I know everything that he doesn't know. The Maul seems rather prepared, I'll say. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like just her going, all right, this is my opportunity, and another broken connection that he could have treated better, that he could have had, functioning in a better way.
I love what you're saying, because actually there is that moment where he says, we're going to build this up and we're going to go after all our enemies, including Darth Sidious. And she goes, Sidious. And it is almost like she's like, oh, yeah, maybe I will stick with this guy until he gets me to the absolute top of power. There is also some tension there between like, we're serious Mandalorians and we are going around with these cackling Night Brothers who just feel like the Mandalorians are hanging out with like drunken frat bros in a really fun, colorful way, and they wonder if there's like, there's a lot of indignities that we are suffering sticking with Maul. Oh yeah,
I love that you bring that up, because you know those Night Brothers are like, take your helmets off. How come you don't eat? What are you doing? Absolutely.
Yeah, so much more to be discussed there. Other canon thing. Crim that they're after, the leader of the Pikes, has popped up in Dark Disciple and in Clone Wars season 7 episodes with the Trace and Rafa arc and all that. So I'm sure we will get to him, and I'm sure things will be just great for him.
just great. Yeah, good pull on that too. Yes.
The only other canon thing for me, and this goes back to our favorite scene in Brander Lawson's apartment. I think that on their little dining room kitchen island, there were Star Wars pizza boxes.
Yes, there was.
Really complete the divorced dad energy of,
Yep.
and we've had pizza for dinner the last 2 nights, and we have not recycled the boxes, if they even have recycling on Janix. That was is a person of pizza. I think I'm probably my body is probably 50% pizza, frozen pizza, and takeout, and a stereotype that I have lived as pizza guy. I got 4 boxes, but my girlfriend's coming over. I should maybe recycle some. It really hit me hard to see them in Star Wars.
Yeah, and you also confirmed that I'm going to warm up 2 more pizzas right after this that I had yesterday. I literally just was like, pizza. Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved everything about it. There's this. We always have these discussions that I fully get and understand. Because maybe it's case by case basis for me of are these things too normal for Star Wars? Is this, do they really have movies and holovids? Do they have this skeleton crew? They got suburbs in space now. I understand this. I'm not being cynical about those conversations. This one worked for me, man. This is again the most Andor-like scene of the entire show was pizza boxes sitting there. And Brander Lawson probably at one point was like, now you don't have Pizzos, do you? You don't take Pizzos? Don't do that. Don't do that. I love the whole setup there. Love the whole setup.
It was the Tim Carlos socks of
yes.
Maul. It was the pizza boxes. Yes. Very real world, but it worked for me. Nothing else for me for canon stuff. I think a lot of it was pretty explicit, not a lot of subtle little winks and nods that I caught. But happy to watch the video that I'm sure Alex and Molly will put out with things I didn't catch on good old Star Wars Explained.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk favorite moments. I like having favorite moments be like, hey, it can be an action moment of a cool action thing. It can be a comedy moment. It can be a great character moment. But there's a thing for me, Ken, that almost felt like this favorite moment section might also just be sort of a whimsy watch because this is a show with an emotionally tortured murderer as the main character. It is a noir horror, depressed, sad show about a dark time in the galaxy, but it's Star Wars, so we got to find some fun. And that might have been the thing I was most surprised by in these 2 episodes, without sort of creating any sort of tonal tension of, oh, it's really dark, but well, here's something wacky. We got a lot of humor out of Spybot. I got a lot of sort of joy out of the Knight brothers' weird drunken frat bro energy. 2 boots, not surprisingly, that a lot of the whimsy came from a droid and had some good comedy moments. But how did you feel about just how the show injected a little bit of the sort of patented Star Wars fun and whimsy, so it isn't just like sort of dark all the time?
I think it was well played. I think it's something that drew me in, and that's why I talked earlier about Vario and Spybot being early winners. Spybot is absolutely wonderful, but Vario is pushing the boundaries of like mob character, right? And I thought the stuff with he and Demas was great, but he really was needed. I think he was needed. It was a great choice, great performance, because it isn't just hey, a wise guy. Yeah, he's got it starts there, but it goes into some really good spots, and he's menacing when he needs to be. I think he is more real than you might think on the surface, right? But I think it was needed. It was a reminder of what we're dealing with. There's some great action that was like, oh yeah, this is Star Wars, and I have some of those moments picked as you do as well. But the Whimsy Watch is a great way to look at it, because without it, I don't know if it works as well. I think and Andor has a lot of wisdom too. I mean, Cassian is all the whimsy we need. That you could dine for days on that. So I think it's present there as well. Maybe more than even what people think.
And some great comedy with Cyril, and I think the best comedy, as we always talk about, has reality to it, and I think that was the case here. So let's get into some favorite moments. What do you got?
I wanted to start right with the opening sequence, which was something that had kind of already been out there in trailers and maybe even sneak peeks or previews. I can't remember, lost track of it, but I love the opening sequence because it is full of Star Wars action. It introduces Spybot in the most wonderful way, but it's also brutal. But also for me, and it's something that has come up, and I think we talked about it Monday, and I've seen other spots. It just really shows what we're capable now with animation, and I say that as someone who's been closely associated with people in animation, but has also had at times. Number one, I'm the first to say Star Wars animation is everything it's cracked up to be, and I am constantly encouraging people to check it out, and includes all the shows we love, including Star Wars Resistance. But I'm also someone who famously, like, it's not just an online brand thing. Like, I've never seen a Toy Story picture. I've never done that stuff. And one of the reasons was like, I just would rather see an actor be able to do their things in a complete fashion was always the thing that held me up. And I'm not saying that's right. I have a lot of friends in voice acting. I know it's a skill. I know it's acting. You shouldn't even call it voice acting. It is acting. I'm there. Like, no one needs to comment that, but that's just been my journey. It's been my journey. And I am blown away by what they pulled off with Bad Batch. But I think this is another evolution, another step forward. And this opening sequence showed it. And for me, the favorite moment was this copper who's kind of leading the charge, telling Rook Cast, hey, put your blaster down, and Maul shows up and kills him. But there's this like 3-part kind of turnaround moment. Again, it was in the trailers, it was in the TV spots. It's mind-blowingly good, like in terms of like animation. So now you have the ability to go where live action goes, that people, including like people me in the past, would put walls up around their hearts of it's just animated. You can go to some of those spots. You can make these acting choices. You can make these directing choices that you could not do 20 years ago. You could try, right? The Clone Wars movie. It's a groundbreaking film in terms of technology, but it is wooden, right? It is. I don't even know if people blink. Again, it's been so long. Now we have something. We have micro expressions, but also the thing I love about Star Wars animation is it is free of the live action boundaries that even I rub up against on the live action side. I'm the a-hole who's like, oh man, too bad Thrawn's blue. Too bad Zahn made Thrawn blue, and now you have to have this human with face paint on that doesn't quite work. Like, I'm that a-hole. And now this opening sequence alone was just like, we're doing something different. And I'll end my rant on it because I love it.
I think that's a really good point, because it is just the quality animation draws you in. It is just aesthetically beautiful, but in its beauty, it does help a little bit for people who struggle to maybe get over the fantasy hump, as it were. Of I don't want things to look silly. Like I think Vario is meant to be in a lean.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
but definitely like the kind of like, oh, the cute, diminutive sort of little fantasy gremlin guys running around. You expect me to take this seriously? And like, Vario is so real that you do take him seriously. And, you know, this, not that anybody ever struggled to take Maul seriously, but yeah, Satan guy with a red blade is horrifying. So there isn't any sort of bump of like, I'm watching kiddie space fantasy. Right. It really captures the what part of yourself would you soil and how if you saw him in real life, because that's the situation that these people are in. Is a great point. Yeah. No, well, thank you. No, and I mentioned on the live yesterday, but one of my favorite moments is Iko Diodaki leaning up against that wall, standing out, sitting outside the police station. There's 2 shots, but the second one with the rain, and he leans back up against the wall. It's one of the best animated shots I've seen ever, Star Wars or otherwise. It's second. It's this great moment, but the acting going on there from an animated character. Haysbert's not even voicing him. Maybe they were like, hey, could you get in the booth and just lean back? Can we just capture that? It's one of my favorite. I think he had 4 hours of sighing because Master Iko Diodaki sighs a lot, and it's good stuff. Get back to moments, but that's another thing that I think I'm really excited about. I'll talk about it later, but so we can keep going on our fun moments. I wanted to highlight a little bit about Spybot, because I think he is going to be a breakout character for a lot of people. And I was really kind of enjoying his little laughs and how clearly invested he was in what he was doing, and like really enjoying his work being an evil little droid. But then I watched again with the subtitles on my computer and fully realized that he is muttering him to himself like he's playing a video game. That's what it reminded me of. It's the kind of things you mumble to yourself when you're playing a video game. When he's watching the truce breakdown between Vario and Demas, he mumbles, "Demas so mad." He narrates himself flying away and says, "Bushkidu." He says peekaboo when he's watching Demas and Vario fight. When he's taken to the camera, he said, "No, nothing to see." When he shuts the door on Tubus, I think he says, "Nope, bye." These are all the little narrations that I think a lot of us say when we're playing a video game or driving, and somebody's going to cut us off, and you're like, "Not today!" Like,
that's funny. Yeah,
and I think that's part of what makes him so relatable. Of like, yeah, he's a little villain doing awful things and causing death and mayhem, but he's loving it, and he's talking to himself about it and narrating it to himself, which is really relatable and charming.
Is he the inner voice of evil that we all have? Is that what's going on?
I think so.
I think that's what it is.
Yes, he's if he were given a lightsaber, he would also make the lightsaber noises and be like, "It's okay, okay, Spybot, we'll put those in later," kind of vibe.
Yeah, he is. There's a lot of Chopper in him. You know, Chopper's got that, but you hear and understand after a while. You know, Spybot's got that same energy, and it's really fun. R2's got it with the beats too, but that starts it all. But yes, Spybot, and the design is great. He's got a little Cad Bane hat on. He's great.
Yeah, just a great idea, and I think I love that, you know, he's the way that Maul can sort of play Shadow Lord literally and watch everything that's going on. Great. I also just really love the vibe of the Night Brothers. That in a dark show and an evil show, it is kind of weirdly fun to watch some of the evil people enjoy themselves. And Spybot and the Night Brothers seem almost aligned in that sort of like Maul's got a grand plan, but they're his agents of chaos. Like, they're loving shooting things up. And there's that shot early on in that first attack where a Night Brother, I don't know which one, Scorn or Icarus, just hurls a droid out of the skyscraper, and then does this big muscle flex and says, "Ha ha!" And that's a playing video games. They both have Leroy Jenkins energy that makes them really fun to watch. You know, like Mandalorians might be in it for power and station. Maul might be in it for this grand plan to heal his soul. And it seems like Night Brothers and Spybot they're in the game for love of the game. They just like chaos and effing with people, you know?
Yeah, if you ask Scorn or Icarus, what do you want out of life? They're like, this?
Yeah.
That's it. Or I think the Mandalorian, because there was a one shot of one of the other Mando warriors that, I had that kind of thought that you had and extrapolated out into a little bit more of a conversation there of just like, they got to be like, what is happening?
Where is your discipline?
What is happening? What locker room are we sharing?
Yeah. Other moments that you enjoyed.
Little moments that you touched on it, but everyone's grabbing the sports ball on Lawson's desk. Devon does it most, but his boss in the later episode, and it obviously represents home. It represents his son, and I get the big themes of it. But I hope that continues to come up. I hope everyone just reaches and grabs it off his desk. I love that. So there's that there.
Yeah. In the show that you have not watched yet, and much to the consternation of some of your friends and supporters, Deep Space Nine, the captain, Benjamin Sisko, loves baseball and has a strong relationship with his son and has a baseball on his desk, and he's making a hard decision. There's a lot of times that he's playing with it, and there's some great subtle dynamics when people are trying to manipulate him, and like they know what it means when they touch his baseball when they shouldn't be. And I do wonder if Sisko is a little bit of an inspiration of like,
that's fascinating.
That ball connects me to my son. That ball is my soul. Stop touching my soul ball.
Touching it. Sounds great. Sounds like a great show. Sounds like a great show. I wanted to shout out the what I call the Vario and Demas dinner of non-peace.
Yeah.
I love the way it breaks out, but I think the team. I think this Maul team would probably hear us talking about the capabilities of animation now and be like, yes, did you not see the meat and cheese that we shot there? There's two shots. There's when in episode 2, when Brander goes home and he steps over the carpet. I was like, this is like when Bad Batch, we're like, do you see the water? Did you see the water they pulled off? That carpet is so real. But I think of that long push in on the meal. I was hungry. Whatever they're having, Runa steaks with space cheese. It was great.
Yeah, I know. They're like, didn't you see? We made like chicken Kiev with cheese on it. Come on.
Yeah,
and it looks real. Great. It made you hungry, doesn't it? Yeah. Can't wait to see the space pizza. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought I liked Demas's line. At least I fill the suit. To sing Vario about wearing the big robot suit. And you're right. Vario had some good kind of comedy patter throughout. I think my favorite was when they had broken him out of prison and they were throwing him in his cell, and he had the typical, "Do you know who I am?"
Mm.
Which is just always a funny line, but it's also like, yeah, you dumbass. They got you because they know exactly who you are and what you know. Like, it's, I thought it was really, really funny. In terms of the kind of the two boots of it, I think there's some great two boots comedy. I feel like we would be remiss not to mention the little calf moment. It's such standard procedural things of cops working long hours and needing their coffee and their partner bringing them coffee is a way of connecting. But that was really touching of the two boots. Captain, I can't drink it. I just share this moment with you. It's
well,
really great.
Yeah.
Connection. Yeah.
Connection.
Also making us care about two boots in case something awful might happen. In terms of action, all sorts of great stuff. There's a shot in episode 1 where another Maul hallway moment where he comes slashing, and it's great animation choice. It's almost like, the operator didn't quite pull back fast enough and the actor overtook the camera. He's flashing real close to the camera, and it's that the same way that they figured out early on with CGI of like, we'll do like whip pans and take a moment to refocus so it feels like an organic human camera operator trying to capture fast action. And this felt like the animation version of it, of like, the planned take was that the camera operator pulled back so it kept Maul in frame, but the actor moved too fast. And actually, that take where he almost overtakes the camera is actually cooler and more frightening. So let's keep it. But instead of it being an accident, the bad take 2 that they decided to go with, the animation team simulates the bad take 2 to make Maul feel even more like it's just a blur of blade and it's coming too close to me. It's coming too close to the camera,
Yeah, it's great. There's also a good old fashioned classic rack focus with Demas, and there's stuff in the background that focus up on him. I thought that was a great choice too. Yeah, excellent point.
Yeah. Really like that.
Maul, back to 1. Back to 1, Maul. You went past. Sorry, it was our fault.
I will only do 2 takes.
Gee, there's someone in the eyeline.
Spontaneity. I love Master Iko Diodaki flipping the getaway truck and then the cool spin and the thud of the staff. That was just some great classic Jedi stuff.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
no, he's great. Yeah, you hinted earlier that he's growing on your list of Jedi, and I think that's going to be a shared opinion because he is great. And I got to be honest, I thought he was going to be dead the first episode, right?
But yeah,
for me, and others might not have thought that, but
I don't think he's got long for this world.
No. But to have these sort of dueling masters in a sense around Devon's soul is again not surprising they would not hack him in the first episode. I'm just saying I think I had that expectation and he's exceeded it by who he is and what he's got going on.
Yeah, in the great just kind of him and Maul seeing each other, and it isn't a big you or a Jedi. That's it. It's that very calm like we both see each other. We both know the implications for Devon. We know we can't be too loud. We're both showing our asses when we probably shouldn't. But I see you. You see me.
Yep.
This is going to be a problem. I love it.
Yeah. Love that. I love a lot of stuff too with there's some great Maul moments with him seeing things. Maul really taking in Lawson on the footage. I love it. I love what it means for the rest of the series, and kind of just like Master Daki is taking in Brandon Lawson up close. We got Maul being like, "Oh, this is an X Factor. Who's this? Can he be bought? Is he a problem?" And then we know they do have some interactions, violent interactions later. And even then, he doesn't immediately stab him, right? One of my thoughts was, he takes a blade and I think he knocks Lawson right in the chin and sends him to the ground. And Maul's just stabbing everyone else, but he takes a moment that is, have a little plot purpose behind it. But it's just, it to me speaks that Maul's kind of like, what's going on with this one? Is he a tool? Is it a resource I have? Is it someone I need to be threatened by? I love that. I love how that's playing out.
Yeah, no, I love that. It seems like a very specific choice because it can feel like, oh, is that plot convenience that he decided to pop him one instead of stab him? But It seems like Maul being like, I am watching everything through Spybot and I am not getting rid of any resources that might be valuable to me. So check it out. This is great.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I love so towards the end of episode 1, looking at it there, Devon seeing Maul arrive and he's still going to Vario's cell and she has the realization, and this is very much of her seeing Maul through her eyes, and they could have reversed it, right? This is Maul's show, because it could have been him stumbling down the hall or stomping down the hallway and going, "Oh, what's here?" But it's her, and the door opening and the red filling up the frame, and her knowing it's Maul. I really like that. I like that she knows, almost as if there was classes taught on him at the Jedi Academy if she spent time there, or even if it wasn't there, that someone else would say, "Hey, these are the people we're out fighting, and there's this one guy, pretty famous. We thought he was dead, or he is dead, or whatever they might think." But I just like that there was a realization, because not only does that kind of speed up the process and the relationship between them two, she knows what he is, or she knows what she might be dealing with there. But it's just very much just her eyes showing Maul to all of us. I thought it was a powerful moment.
Yeah, I mean the shadow coming over her is obviously just a beautiful literalization of his effect on her life and his desire to seduce her and all that. But yeah, I love seeing her seeing him through her eyes. And it's also like there can be so much and you lose track of it. Like in the Clone Wars, the Jedi considered Maul a huge problem. He's a Sith on the loose, and he and Savage go on a killing spree and they try to stop him. And in the Son of Dathomir comic book, they send a big team of Mace and Kenobi to try to track him down. And it's only in season 7 of Clone Wars where the war is wrapping up, where like, we don't have the resources for that. But I would think with how big of a threat they perceived him as, like, yes, I think there'd be like, Padawans, gather round. This is one of the greatest threats to the galaxy. Not just like some some whispered guy that Kenobi fought. He's like, no, kind of wanted number 1 for a while in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like. There's 2 moments in episode 1, and then it connects with episode 2. It's some of the Rook cast stuff. But it's Maul feeling an apprentice is near. And then, he finds one and he's like, yeah, hey, I had my instincts were right. And I found myself an apprentice, but and he immediately leans into, and I'm going to make her a weapon. And just connecting to some of the bigger themes. It just was a theme point, a theme driver of this is his version of connection. Not, I just found a new friend. I found a weapon. That was what we're dealing with Maul at this time. So it's a great little collection of moments.
Yeah, and I love that too, since that was just so kind of explicitly the way he was trained. Like Sidious needed different things out of Dooku and Vader, but Maul was just a blunt weapon and made you feel that way. So I like that he's gonna I'm going to turn around and do what was done to me to this other person. I'm going to make her my weapon. Because I'm too busy having visions and grand designs. It's really great. Couple for me. I did like the turn of phrase from Saul when Brander showed up to say, "You seem to be having quite the rotation," which that good Star Wars language that's popped up a lot in publishing of describing a day as a rotation. But that was fun to hear. This just loved Maul's delivery on the seduction of Devon and trying to get her to try the back door instead of the front door, and believing that she was empowered to escape, but by all means, Jedi, leave. So good, so good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All the stuff with them is playing out as one. Yeah, I in episode 2, there's a moment at the start we got the opening sequence. They're escaping from the police station there, and Maul does this dive. It's just they're climbing up the ladders, and the frat bros are, and Maul like ducks out of the way, and then he comes back up with his blade. When he leaves, he does this backwards like dive into an Olympic pool. It's so beautiful, and it's so Star Warsy. Sometimes we talk and sometimes even poke fun at Dave-led shows have a lot of ships landing, right? But and I'll make my jokes too. I'm making one now maybe, but I can't tell you how many times as a kid I'd be sitting on my desk at school or my bed at home and grab a pencil and just be like, and it's a spaceship. I did that when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to now. And so that is a part of Star Wars. And so stuff like this of like, oh, what if Maul does this elegant back dive off the diving board? It's so Star Warsy, and it's so, to me, would be Maul because he's got those skills. Even though he's advancing, his years are advancing, and his legs aren't even his, but he's got it. He's got it. He knows how to do it.
I'm sure his mechanical knees hurt too, but he's still athletic. He's still bouncing off walls and doing backflips. Yeah, this is really great. Really love that.
Yes.
One of the other moments that I really loved was Master Daki using the Force to save the people on the bridge and push her back up and straining quite a lot. And Brander Lawson sees him, and I'm expecting the Jedi, but Brander Lawson, he's like, oh, laser swords, they were around in the Clone Wars. I'm sure he knows who the Jedi were and all that, but it's like there's a little bit of that's all far away. I really expected the Jedi Master Daki revealed. He's going to have a conversation. So the fact that Brander Lawson was just like, hey, buddy, you all right? Because you're really straining. Like Brander didn't even seem to quite perceive that, oh, that guy's using the Force to keep the bridge together. Just like, old man's having a heart attack.
Yep.
What else is the problem? And the vision, the grounded vision of somebody using the Force is actually an old man having a heart attack was hilarious to me.
I agree with you. That was a great moment, and love what they got going on where poof, he's gone, Master Daki's gone. That's now a couple times happened, but like, I thought that was hilarious. As if he's just like, you seen this? Oh wait, hey, what's wrong with you? Oh.
So great. So I'm looking forward to their connection. Final. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say one more thing on Master Iko Daki. In that action sequence you brought up, which is a wonderful thing. His I put it as Enter Echo Diodaki shows up for action. I don't think it's a small point, and it's something that could be brought up again. But in this action sequence, which he is trying to maybe stop the bad guys, maybe trying to rescue Devon, he hurts her. She gets hurt. She's hurt in this moment, and not directly, but it's his actions. And then what's the first thing we get? This is why I said earlier about Maul's got the medicine. You're hurt. Let me heal you. I think that's something. I'm not saying that's going to come back into play, but that's just, I love that kind of layering of what's going on.
I think that's fantastic. It is another layer of, we know that Master Iko is better for her in the long run than Maul.
Yeah.
But we are being made to feel like, he hurt her and Maul heals her. That's great. I think it's a great insight.
Yeah. So that's it for me.
Last thing for me is, the Disney Plus opening with the different heads. It was great to see Tech in the opening.
Yes, he was.
Of the head roll by. So I thought that was a nice shout out to the history of Star Wars animation. Obviously, lots of characters in there, but Tech is close to my heart. So that was a nice way to start the whole thing.
Indeed. No, I love those. Hey, look, it's something that is new that becomes classic. You forget that at one point it was new and we all went, what? There's little heads? No, it's a fun start to Star Wars.
Yep. In that little fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
So, questions or concerns? Was there anything that you didn't like or struggled with in these two episodes?
I said up top how I really enjoyed these, and that's choosing not to use the word love because I actually love what this series is setting up. But these are episodes that I think on a rewatch are going to be like, okay, cool. Let's get to the fun stuff. I think we got some great stuff coming here in the last 8 episodes to go. You and I have not seen the first 8 at all, like others have, and good for them, of course. But we haven't. So I just think it was a good setup. It was good pieces on the table. It did everything it needed to do. I texted a friend today. I was like, you got to watch it. He's a fan of Star Wars animation, but doesn't watch it as much as others. And you and I was like, give it a go. I think, especially this friend of mine, Owen, is a big film guy, film buff,
yeah.
and I'm like, this is like film stuff going on here. This is noir. This is horror vibes. This is everything that we've talked about. But these episodes I think are a great thing to pull people in who maybe be unsure or maybe have the Mauls alive or whatever it is. I think it'll supersede any trepidation people has. But so I'll just say I didn't struggle with anything there. It's just like I can't wait to get past these episodes. I think it came up, and you might bring it up here too, so I don't want to step on it if you do. But I don't have a problem with the ending of either of these episodes, or the second one in particular, as much as maybe I did on first viewing. You and I have talked about the streaming era and how some of the things are structured. I know it's something you brought up. I think it's something I get some shit for when I complain about the Andor ending in season 1, where it ends on him having a snack and reading a paper. Still one of my least favorite endings in Star Wars. And I know you and I think are in general agreement. I on retrospect, when I watched it again this morning for the third time, and it's like I think it's a great emotional beat to end on, with Devon escaping.
Yeah, I think in the great discussion of serialized endings, I think there's like, what is the actual ending? Is it a successful cliffhanger? It's also connected to like not only how long is the episode, but did the episode feel like a full meal? Did it explore one specific idea and then leave you with kind of a ... of what's next? And like ones that haven't worked for me, like Andor, it's just like, yes, it ends with, you got a lot of reading to do tonight. So it literally is like, will Cassian Andor do his homework, or will he be too busy listening to his music? Like it felt like the show needed to pause, and it was trying to make me feel like it was bigger. And I think there are some moments of in Ahsoka and the Acolyte that is like budget constraints that made it so we kind of like, the character is on the planet and we know they're there to do X, and we're spending the whole episode with they march to X, but they don't actually do X. Can sometimes feel to me like not structurally great. I didn't have that problem with these episodes for myself. The first one, the shadow falls over her and she says Maul. I think this is going to be an ensemble show, but I think those two are going to be the heart of it. So that's great. And the second one, it's shorter, so I get it feeling abrupt. But for me, I found so much meaning in her escape. It wasn't about the plot point. Like I felt the dun 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 in my soul when it ended on the look on her face.
Right.
Because it wasn't about she escaped. It was about Maul's first successful manipulation of you have more power than you realize. You've just been indoctrinated to only use it by going through the front door. But I'm going to show you all the back doors and all the side doors in the galaxy, and it's going to make you so powerful. And it's probably the first time that she has felt powerful, or maybe even the first time she's used her power, literally, in a long time. And I just think kind of screen direction wise too, she kind of is processing it, and then she looks to the screen direction that makes us feel like she is looking toward the future. And for me, it just felt like a very complete shot, and that it was a great emotional cliffhanger. I get how, if some people might feel like I was promised serialized cliffhangers, and it didn't feel like a big, like, oh no, what's going to happen next kind of moment.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't have any problem with these episodes. I think I love so much about them, but there was a lot of table setting, and I think it is just a reality of choosing to be all in and paying attention to all the trailers and talking about them. If I had just kind of casually known, oh, there's a Maul show, and I didn't know there was a guy named Master Iko Diodaki, and I didn't know it was about him, seducing a new apprentice, there's a little bit more fresh, but a lot of this was like these are a lot of things we kind of knew, and the table was set, which isn't a criticism of the episodes. It is a reality of the way that we receive them.
Mm-hmm.
So very excited to get to the next week's episodes and see, do we get to the Inquisitors and all that? Along those lines, I'd love to talk quickly about any predictions or hopes for the next episodes.
I'd like to see it spin out of a little bit of control from Maul here. That if we need the Inquisitors to come in, that means the Empire at some point is aware, at least someone up there. So that's going to be kind of fun. And I'd love to. I'm still very open-minded on the direction of Devon. The Darth Talon stuff has been present since the moment the show was announced, and an apprentice for Maul was present in the cast. Like that. That's and then bringing in Filoni saying, there's a lot of ideas George had for Maul, and we're bringing some of those in. That is very much Darth Talon. Maybe now just Talon. Who knows? But so I could see that happening. I totally can see that happening. I think that might be the easiest bet to make if you want to, bring up your poly market at Kalshi apps, everybody. But I'm still open to it, and I'm still to something different. And I'm not saying this is a prediction, but maybe more of a hope that the road is going to be very bumpy between them. And I'd like to have some false victory moments for this character Devon of going towards the light side. If that makes sense. And I think that could be part of the unraveling of Maul, or at least Maul's control in this season.
Yeah, and I will not say explicit things that we've seen in the trailers in case people are haven't seen the trailers, but there's some things that we've seen in the trailer that feels like Maul is going to be able to manipulate her further and get her to take some actions that, hey, it seems like a good thing to team up and stop this extra horrible thing from happening. So I expect this season to be a slow manipulation of Devon. I think one of the things I'm most interested in Devon's destiny is, on one hand, Maul just says, like, I'll make her a weapon and she'll be my tool. But he's also having visions of her. And one of the reasons he came to Janix is because he had a vision that his apprentice was here and he found her. And I wonder how much of his sort of like, this is greater than all of us kind of talk is him pumping himself up, him wanting to make himself believe that he found somebody as special as Anakin, if that's all Maul healing himself, or if it's sort of true that Devon, because of who she is in her situations, will find herself sort of in a powerful position of fate, I'm really curious to see if there is some sort of like grand design to her, that she has some greater impact on the galaxy and her choice will make a big dent.
Yeah. No, it's a fascinating wrinkle to the story of Maul, and I love that we might get to explore. What's going on.
Yeah, I think other things I love that we know that Maul and Master Ego Diodaki saw each other, and I'm really curious to see both of their next chess move based on, like, if Maul's like, that Jedi's got to go, if he's like, ooh, leaving him around for a while and letting him show Devon that the Jedi are crap will actually be great for me. And final thing for me is there's a lot of stuff I'm excited for Brander and his son and that whole very grounded part of it. But the thing that you were getting me thinking about earlier with the way the cops saw Maul at the beginning. So Brander's talked about, hey, he's proficient with a laser sword. Haven't seen one of those since the Clone Wars. Didn't immediately clock Master Daki as a Jedi, but a guy having a heart attack. I feel like we haven't really got to see a main character kind of wrestle with the, like, I'm aware of Jedi. Maybe I've heard the word Sith somewhere, but it's not a thing people talk about. Have to wrestle with the reality of these people. Because a lot of times we meet people who are either like, I'm aware of them and I don't like them, or they're a myth. I don't, but a really grounded character going, I got to deal with these people and their philosophy and their powers. I'm really excited to kind of see Jedi and Sith through his eyes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I enjoy too that even though this is a lot closer to the end of Revenge of the Sith and other Star Wars stories, that even now there's this like laser sword. Like, what is that? Like, I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, we are wrap up as we traditionally do on our review discussion shows with a question about merch. So, Ken, if you could have merch inspired by these episodes, what would it be? And would it be a baseball cap?
Yeah, maybe get that Maul cap going. There it is. I think I got to pay respects to the Breakout character, Spybot. Though in my notes I just wrote Spyboy. That works too. Spybot. I want a Spybot, but I don't want a figure. I don't want like some electronic little controlled radio flyer. I want a Spybot plush, a little cute plush that you can put on your shelf and do bad things to your enemies with. That's what I want.
I'm trying to do my taxes, and every program gets worse and worse. And the taxes program is just like, well, we will no longer do basic things, but hey, we've got an AI plugin. Do you want it? I think pretty soon it's going to ask me if I want QuickBooks to be a social media program too. I just want an actual Spybot to plug into my computer and make it work.
Here's your taxes.
Here's your taxes. I'm going to send an aggressive email. Either that or maybe some dishware. He's such a plate. He's such an evil little plate of a guy. I would love to eat some nachos off a Spybot dishware.
And you know what? I'd love to return to Galaxy's Edge. I haven't been since 2020, but I would love whatever Demas and Vario were about to eat be on some menu because it looked really good.
It really, really did. Yeah, I'm hungry for lunch, so I think we should wrap up so we can eat our non-animated lunch.
It is. I will animate some frozen pizzas. That's what I will do today. There you go. Well, there's our first deep dive. A few more to come here in a 10-episode season 1 of Maul Shadow Lord. Thanks for listening, especially if you're new, finding us or returning to us because of the new Star Wars show. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. If you're over there, you can find the podcast in a lot of spots: Acast, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and more. Don't forget, on Sundays, we re-release our episodes of Databank Brawl, audio only, merch available at TeePublic or the aforementioned Fourth Wall. You can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. And from there, you get into our Discord, where I can assure you the conversation is robust with our Force Center friends in the Maul Shadow Lord spoiler section. Also, if you're a Patreon supporter, you get the call-in link to our shows on Friday, which will be our Maul Talkback show. Join Joseph and I as we kind of celebrate Maul with you, or things you liked, things you loved, or things maybe even you didn't like, or questions you have. So that's that for me. You can follow me at Ken Napzok or my website, kennapzok.com, for more. You, sir, where can I find you and your short films and everything else?
Yeah, you can follow me on all the social media at Joseph Scrimshaw, and you can check out my YouTube page. Just search for Joseph Scrimshaw on YouTube. It'd be great if you could subscribe, check things out. I have several short films that I've posted in the last couple of weeks, and there'll be more news hopefully very soon about the feature film I made with many talented collaborators. That horror film is called Dead Media, and hopefully more news about that coming soon. Thank you all so much.
There you go. We'll see you next time here on Force Center.